This is One-on-One. Nina Stack is the president of the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers. Good to see you, Nina.
Nice to be here.
What exactly is the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers?
We're the statewide membership organization for foundations, private foundations, corporate giving programs. Our members range from large independent foundations like Robert Wood Johnson to small family foundations, and then of course the corporates like Prudential Foundation or J&J.
Why do they need you?
Well, it's hard. It actually is hard to give away money in a...
What? Wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. We're an organization that for 22 years goes around seeking corporate and foundation grants. We'll help them. No, but it is hard.
Well,
because everyone is banging at your door.
Well, and you want to make sure you're going to have impact. You want to make sure that the organization that you're going to give money to is on the up and up.
That's right.
That they're going to be sustainable, that they're going to be around for a long time, so that your money is actually going to do what it is that you intend.
And now your council does not make grants.
We do not. We help grant makers be good grant makers. That's what we do.
Give us an example.
Well, we'll do programming around, actually we have a program coming up soon that's for small and family foundations on due diligence. How do they read the tax documents of a nonprofit to know that their financials are in order, that they're operating in a way that makes sense? How do they, their governance practices, what are the requirements that they have? What should their bylaws look like? All those kinds of things, because foundations need to have all their books in order as well. So we'll do programming around that. We bring folks together around specific issues. We have affinity groups like...
What's an affinity group?
It's education funders, arts funders, environmental funders. We have a group that's just for Newark funders. We actually even have a subgroup that's about Newark education. We have
just Newark education.
Just funders that have come because there's so many.
We're looking at the mayor of Newark, Cory Booker.
Right, that's one of our and he is with our Newark philanthropic liaison, Jeremy Johnson, is a person from the council who's embedded in City Hall.
Embedded in City Hall. What does that mean?
It means that he works out of City Hall, but he's not a city employee, but he works.
Hold on, is that because of the big Facebook grant?
No, actually, Jeremy's been in place for 5.5 years now.
And they're helping the city do what?
It helps connect foundations, our members, with initiatives that the city is working on so that everybody can work smarter. So it's leveraging money. In the years that he's been there, he's brought in, I want to say about 45 million, 47 million that he's been able to leverage. So when there are foundations looking to work in the city, to make sure that they can work as effectively as possible and have the impact that they're looking to do, and not counter what other efforts that may be going on, or that they're able to enhance efforts that are going on. Jeremy is the one that can connect private donors and private foundations with efforts happening in the city.
But let me ask you to be very practical. As a not-for-profit on our end, the Caucus Educational Corporation,
right.
I mean, you know who we are because we disclose with the government. We have to file what is known as a 990, right? You disclose
one of those tax forms that we have that we show our members how to look at.
For those of you who don't know, when you run a not-for-profit, you have to disclose a lot to the government. You know, the underpaid salary, you know, the underpaid CEO, me. No, I'm joking. But all the information, where your money comes from, how you spend your money, how much goes into programming, how much goes into administration, advertising, all those kinds of things.
Even things like, do you have a whistleblower policy? Do you have a conflict of interest policy? The government's looking at all of that information now.
So say you were looking at the Caucus Educational Corporation in all seriousness. You would help a foundation or corporation look at us and give them advice as to whether we were a good match for them?
We wouldn't be that specific. We help them understand what are the key indicators. For instance, the workshop that we have coming up. What are the key indicators in that 990 form that they want to look at? What are the key indicators in an audit? You know, a lot of people may not know that nonprofits need to get an audit done, most of them, if they're of a size that they need to have an audit. Understanding what are the messages in the management letter that an auditor will include with an audit. There could be some messages in there that a funder wants to know about. So we help them sort of holistically look at that. We wouldn't help them specifically with a specific nonprofit.
But you know what's striking to me here? I mean, post 9/11, it struck me that there were so many, well, it seemed like there were an awful lot of organizations, nonprofits, that came about quickly. And there were some really good nonprofits who did really good things. But then there were some others that were set up by some folks whose motives were highly suspect and questionable, and how they spent those dollars were even more suspect and questionable. How the heck, and I don't know if they were filing 990s with the government. I don't know if they were disclosing this information. But what are the red flags?
Well, that's it. That's what we try to tell funders and help funders understand. What are the places where they can do that due diligence to understand the background of the organization, where it's been, how it was created, who are the other people that are involved. All of that information, if it should be available. If it's not available, that's a flag.
Sure.
Because there's a website called GuideStar where all the 990s are published.
All the 9 stars are there. All the
nonprofits, right? All the nonprofits are there.
Now, with the economic downturn continuing, even though, listen, it's great that as we do this program, things are going well with the stock market. The program will repeat, so you don't know where it's going to be at that time.
Right.
We hope things get better. What has that meant for funders?
It's been interesting. So the crash of 2008 definitely impacted the philanthropic community. There was one estimate that in Morris County alone, it dropped by $500 million in terms of the assets of the foundations in Morris County alone. In the time, what I've seen a great deal of is that funders, they've been rebuilding their corpus, their endowment's been rebuilding, which means that they are slowly having a bit more money to fund, but it's not great yet. It's going to take a long time to rebuild. They've been doing other things like helping with technical assistance. They'll do a lot of workshops, they'll do coaching, provide that kind of work for their grantees, which has really been wonderful. I think one of the other things that's been amazing to see is how funders increased the amount that they had to give. Foundations are required to give out. What does that mean? Foundations are required to give out 5% a year of their corpus. And
you can't hold on to it.
5%, right, it's the 5% payout rule, and most of them follow that, or they'll give a little bit more. What happened after the crash is that people were giving 6, 7, even 8%.
Why?
Because they wanted to try and fill, they didn't have, even at 5%, they didn't have as much money as they'd had the year before. Even at 7%, they didn't have as much money. So if they gave out, I'll say $100,000, they now only had $80,000, so they increased the percentage amount so that they could get closer to that $100,000.
It's important work.
It's very important
I know
work.
that for a lot of folks, it's out of their realm of day-to-day experience, but it's important. Nina Stack, the president of the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers. Very important work. Thank you.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Merck Company Foundation, JFK Medical Center, your hospital, your health, Health First New Jersey, and by St. Peter's College, education one student at a time. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and northjersey.com. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.